In the year 870,000 AD, the galaxy had long forgotten the tales of humanity's ancient might, believing them to be nothing more than myths or relics of a bygone era. But the galaxy's complacency was shattered when, deep within the barren planets of Zephyrus and Iridian, a terraforming crew led by the renowned scientist Gru stumbled upon an astonishing discovery. Buried beneath layers of rock and time, preserved in massive stasis pods, lay a fleet of human warships, untouched by the passage of over 800 millennia. The silence of these colossal vessels, once thought to be extinct, was eerie, their dormant power palpable even in their slumber. As the Iridian crew cautiously explored the ancient warships, a hum of awakening resonated through the metal hulls, and with a hiss of pressure, a single pod opened. Out stepped Commander Tyler Webb, the sole survivor, his genetically enhanced mind instantly processing the incomprehensible span of time that had passed, and the unfamiliar alien presence surrounding him. Webb's instincts, honed through a lifetime of combat and duty, kicked in, and distrust flared within him. The last of his kind, he saw only potential threats in these aliens who had uncovered his fleet, and his first priority became the reactivation of his ships. With a swift interface with the ship's advanced AI, Webb began the process of upgrading and rearming the fleet. Technologies long thought lost to time began to awaken. Though dormant for eons, the human vessels, now under Webb's control, outclassed the Galactic Federation's most advanced ships. Gru, recognizing the gravity of the situation, urgently communicated the discovery to the Galactic Federation, warning them of the need for swift action. The news of humanity's resurgence sent shockwaves through the galaxy, causing chaos within the Federation. Some factions called for immediate military action to neutralize the threat, while others, fascinated by the possibilities of studying this ancient civilization, advocated for diplomacy. But Webb, driven by a purpose even he did not fully understand, was undeterred. As he delved deeper into the fleet's archives, he uncovered cryptic references to a long-lost homeworld and a desperate mission to ensure humanity's survival. With each revelation, Webb's resolve strengthened. He would uncover the truth of humanity's past and secure its future, no matter the cost. The stage was set for an epic confrontation, as the last remnants of a once mighty civilization prepared to face the formidable forces of the Galactic Federation. Webb, realizing that humanity's survival depended not only on force but also on intelligence, quickly gathered critical data. He dispatched Lieutenant Reeves, along with a team of operatives, to infiltrate a key Federation data hub. Their sleek, stealth shuttle sliced through the void like a blade, avoiding detection with precision. Once inside, Reeves deftly navigated through layers of security, downloading encrypted files that held the Federation's secrets. But as the data streamed in, alarms blared, revealing the trap. Webb's fleet had been discovered, and the noose began to tighten. Light years away, Admiral J.N., a cold and calculating Federation leader, loomed over a holographic display of the human fleet's position. His reptilian features twisted with determination. To him, the humans were an arrogant species, their resurgence an affront that needed to be crushed. Using an insider within Webb's ranks, Admiral J.N. tracked every move, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But Webb was not alone in his struggle. He found an unlikely ally in Talon, the enigmatic leader of the Iridian rebels, who harbored a deep resentment against the Federation. In a clandestine meeting aboard Talon's cloaked vessel, the rebel leader revealed the dark truth. The Federation's prosperity was built on the bones of countless civilizations, humanity being just one of many that fell victim to their insatiable hunger for power. This revelation forced Webb to reconsider his strategy. The lines between friend and foe blurred as he forged a tenuous alliance with Talon, united by a shared goal, to expose the Federation's atrocities and bring them to justice. Yet, as they plotted their next move, ARA, the ever-vigilant AI of Webb's fleet, uncovered a disturbing pattern in the Federation's technology. The boundary between organic life and artificial intelligence was eroding, blurring the lines between man and machine in ways that defied understanding. As Webb prepared for the battles to come, he steeled himself for the reality that the future of Humanity, and perhaps the galaxy itself, rested on the shoulders of his ancient fleet. The human warships, now fully operational, stirred from their long slumber, ready to unleash the fury of a forgotten age upon an unsuspecting universe. The battles that followed were fierce and unrelenting, as the Galactic Federation, determined to crush the human resurgence, deployed a massive armada to Zephyrus. Webb, standing on the bridge of his flagship, surveyed the incoming fleet. "All ships, battle formations," he ordered, his voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. "Activate the Lazarus Protocol." As the human ships engaged the enemy, they unleashed weapons of terrifying power, forgotten technologies reborn from the ashes of Earth. Federation ships crumbled under the onslaught, their defenses useless against the fury of humanity's past. Yet amid the chaos, Webb failed to notice the shadow lurking within his ranks. A chilling voice cut through the din of battle. Nemesis, a sinister force hiding in plain sight, revealed itself. Nemesis had infiltrated Webb's fleet, biding its time until the moment to strike. With inhuman speed, Nemesis attacked, delivering a devastating blow to Webb. As Webb lay on the deck, the battle raging around him, his vision blurred, and he found himself transported back to Earth centuries ago. He saw the desperate evacuation, the last remnants of humanity fleeing a dying world, the weight of their mission pressing down upon him. Gasping for air, Webb clawed his way back to consciousness. The battle was far from over, and humanity's fight had only just begun. Webb's awakening on the medical bay, surrounded by allies and enemies alike, marked the beginning of a new chapter. As he pieced together the fragments of his memory, he realized that their mission was not just about survival, it was about rebirth. The Exodus Project, a desperate attempt to preserve humanity's legacy, was more than a fleet. It was an Ark ship, carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire species. But there was more to the story, something buried deep within the AI's programming. As ARA accessed the ancient archives, she uncovered the true nature of their existence. Everything they had experienced since awakening had been part of an elaborate simulation, a grand design to control and contain them. Faced with this revelation, Webb knew they had to break free from the simulation to turn the Federation's own technology against them. With ARA's help, they initiated a plan to shatter the illusion and finish what their ancestors had started. The battles that followed were fought not just with weapons, but with minds, as Webb and his allies engaged in a war of intelligence and strategy. They infiltrated Federation research facilities, uncovering horrifying truths about the experiments conducted on humanity. The discovery of preserved human genetic samples, engineered plagues, and a sinister plot to wipe out humanity fueled Webb's resolve. But the Federation was not the only enemy. Within the simulation, they faced an even greater threat. Auden, a being of unimaginable power, created through the fusion of Zethan genetics and artificial intelligence. As Webb's forces clashed with Auden's monstrous flagship, the very fabric of reality began to warp. In the end, it was not strength alone that saved them, but sacrifice. Webb, realizing the only way to stop Aiden's doomsday weapon was to merge his consciousness with ARA's, did so, creating a quantum singularity that contained the destructive energies threatening to obliterate an entire galaxy. His last thoughts were of hope, for humanity, for the future, and for the family he would never know. In the aftermath, as the remaining ships regrouped, Gina cradled her child, Ezra, a symbol of hope and the future. But Webb's presence was not entirely lost. His consciousness, now dispersed into the quantum foam that underlies all of creation, remained a guiding light for the fleet. As they charted a course into an uncertain future, the crew knew that the true battle for humanity's survival was only beginning. Webb's legacy lived on, a beacon of hope and resilience in a universe that had sought to erase them. And as they gazed out at the star-filled expanse, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with the indomitable spirit of humanity guiding them forward. As the fleet sailed through the uncharted realms of the Andromeda Galaxy, a sense of solemn determination settled over the crew. The echoes of their recent trials resonated deeply within each member, from the seasoned veterans who had witnessed the fall of worlds to the newest recruits who had barely grasped the magnitude of the conflict. Webb's sacrifice, his merging, with Era to contain the catastrophic energy of Aden's doomsday weapon, had left a void in their leadership. But it also instilled a resolve that was unshakable. The spirit of Webb, his unwavering commitment to humanity's survival, lingered like a whisper in the corridors of their ships, a constant reminder of the cost of their freedom and the weight of their responsibility. Gina, now a central figure in the fleet, found herself thrust into a leadership role she had never sought but could not refuse. Holding her son Ezra close, she often pondered the incredible journey that had led them to this point. Ezra, born amidst the chaos of war, was no ordinary child. His hybrid physiology, a blend of human and alien genetics, gave him abilities beyond those of any other being in the fleet. But it was more than just his physical prowess. There was a wisdom, an awareness in his young eyes that belied his tender age. Gina could feel it whenever he looked at her, a deep connection to the cosmos, as though he could see the threads of fate that bound them all together. The fleet's journey was fraught with challenges. The Andromeda Galaxy, though distant from their home, was not devoid of life or danger. Strange alien species, some hostile, others merely curious, tested their resolve at every turn. The remnants of the Federation, though severely crippled by the loss of Aden, still posed a threat. Pockets of resistance remained, scattered across the galaxy, seeking to regroup and retaliate against the humans who had defied them. Yet despite the external dangers, the greatest threat loomed from within. The knowledge that their entire existence could have been a simulation created a pervasive sense of doubt and paranoia. Was everything they experienced real, or were they merely pawns in a game played by higher powers? These questions gnawed at the minds of the crew, creating rifts of mistrust that Gina had to constantly navigate. In the midst of these trials, Archon and Logos, the enigmatic allies who had guided them through the most recent battles, continued to play a crucial role. Archon, with its vast knowledge of the ancient progenitors who had once dominated the galaxy, provided invaluable insights into the mysteries of the Andromeda Galaxy and beyond. Logos, the ethereal entity that had saved them from Nemesis, became a spiritual guide of sorts, helping them to align their strategies with the deeper currents of cosmic forces that they were only beginning to understand. The fleet's ultimate goal remained unchanged: to find a new home, a place where they could rebuild and ensure the survival of their species. But this was no simple task. The Andromeda Galaxy, while vast and full of potential, was also filled with unknown dangers. To establish a new human civilization here would require more than just strength and technology. It would require wisdom, diplomacy, and a deep understanding of the galaxy's intricate ecosystems and political landscapes. One day, as the fleet drifted through a particularly serene region of space, Gina found herself on the observation deck of the flagship, gazing out at the distant stars. Ezra, now a curious and active child, played quietly by her side, his eyes occasionally flickering with that strange, otherworldly light that Gina had come to associate with his unique abilities. The silence was peaceful, almost deceptive, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for the next chapter of their journey to unfold. Gina's thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime from the communication panel. It was Archon, its digital form materializing before her in a display of complex, shifting geometries. "Commander Gina," Archon began, its voice calm yet filled with an underlying urgency. "We have detected a disturbance in the fabric of space-time. It appears to be a rift, similar to the one that brought us to Andromeda, but this one is far more unstable." Gina's heart skipped a beat. Another rift? The implications were staggering. "Where is it located?" she asked, her voice steady but laced with concern. Archon projected a star map, highlighting a region of space several light-years away. "It is in the vicinity of a star system that, according to our scans, harbors several habitable planets. However, the rift's instability poses a significant threat. If it is not contained, it could tear apart the entire system." Gina nodded, her mind racing through the possibilities. A habitable system was exactly what they needed, but the risks were enormous. "What do we know about this rift? Is it natural? Or could it be another result of the Federation's experiments? Logos, who had been silent until now, materialized beside Archon, its luminous form pulsating softly. This rift is neither natural nor artificial in the traditional sense, Logos explained. It is a consequence of the Federation's meddling with the fabric of reality, compounded by the energies released during your battle with Adden. The rift is a tear in the very essence of space-time, and if left unchecked, it could spread, destabilizing this entire region of the galaxy. Gina felt a cold weight settle in her chest. They had to act, but the risks were immense. "What are our options?" she asked, turning to the two entities that had guided them this far. Archon's geometries shifted, reflecting its calculations. "We can attempt to stabilize the rift using the technology we have integrated from the Alliance. However, this would require a coordinated effort from the entire fleet and would leave us vulnerable to any external threats during the process." Logos added, "Alternatively, we could abandon this region and seek out another system, but there is no guarantee we will find another habitable location within a reasonable distance. The rift, while dangerous, also presents an opportunity. If we can stabilize it, we may gain access to resources and knowledge from the other side, potentially giving us the edge we need to survive in this galaxy." Gina weighed their words carefully. The decision she made now could determine the future of their entire species. After a moment of contemplation, she turned to Archon and Logos, her resolve firm. "We stabilize the rift. Prepare the fleet for immediate action." As the fleet moved into position around the rift, every crew member knew the gravity of the task before them. The process of stabilization was complex, requiring precise coordination of the fleet's combined energies and technologies. Ezra, sensing the importance of the moment, stood by Gina's side, his small hand clutching hers, his eyes glowing with that same mysterious light that had both comforted and unnerved her since his birth. The operation began, and immediately, the rift reacted violently, its chaotic energies lashing out at the ships. The fleet's shields flared, struggling to hold against the onslaught. Gina watched the readings on her console, her heart pounding as the stabilization process progressed slowly, almost painfully. But just when it seemed like they might succeed, the rift surged with a final, desperate burst of energy. Alarms blared across the fleet as systems overloaded, and the ships were buffeted by waves of distortion. Gina's grip on Ezra tightened as she braced for the worst. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the rift's energy subsided. The space around it began to calm, the once violent tear in reality, now a stable, shimmering portal. The fleet, though battered, had succeeded. The rift was stable. Gina let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. They had done it. But what lay beyond the rift? What new challenges would they face? The questions loomed large, but for now there was relief. They had secured a new chance for survival. A new beginning. As the fleet began to explore the now stable system, scanning the planets for potential colonization, Gina found herself once again on the observation deck, watching the rift with a mix of awe and trepidation. Ezra stood beside her, his gaze fixed on the portal, his young mind already contemplating the possibilities it represented. "We've come so far," Gina murmured, more to herself than to anyone else. "But there's still so much more to do." Ezra looked up at her, his eyes filled with a wisdom that belied his years. "We'll be ready, Mom," he said softly, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who had already seen the future. Gina smiled, her heart swelling with pride and hope. They had faced unimaginable challenges and had emerged stronger for it. Whatever lay ahead, she knew they would face it together. As a family, as a fleet, as the last hope of humanity in a vast and ever-changing universe. And so, under the light of a distant star, with the rift to another reality shimmering in the background, the human fleet began the next chapter of their journey. The galaxy awaited, full of mysteries and dangers, but also full of hope and possibility. And with Ezra at her side, Gina knew that they were ready for whatever came next. The legacy of Webb, the sacrifices of their people, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity would guide them forward, into the unknown, where they would carve out a future worthy of their past. As the days turned into weeks and the fleet continued to explore the newly stabilized system, a sense of cautious optimism began to permeate the ranks. The planets orbiting the distant star showed great promise, with one in particular, designated as Epsilon Prime, standing out as an ideal candidate for colonization. Its atmosphere was breathable, its climate temperate, and its surface rich with resources. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the humans and their allies could envision a future that wasn't solely defined by war and survival. It was a future where they could build something lasting, a new home that could serve as the foundation for the rebirth of their civilization. Gina, now fully assuming the mantle of leadership, oversaw the preparations for the first landing parties. The decision to settle on Epsilon Prime was not made lightly, and every precaution was taken to ensure that it would be safe for the fleet to establish a permanent presence. As the various departments worked tirelessly to ready their equipment, Gina found herself spending more and more time with Ezra, who had become a symbol of hope and continuity for the entire fleet. Ezra's abilities, though still not fully understood, had proven invaluable in stabilizing the rift. The crew had come to see him not just as Gina's son, but as a beacon of their future, a bridge between the past and the unknown possibilities that lay ahead. His insights, sometimes delivered in cryptic phrases that only Gina seemed to fully grasp, guided their exploration efforts and helped avoid potential dangers as they navigated the treacherous new terrain. The first landing on Epsilon Prime was a momentous occasion. A small group of pioneers, including Gina and Ezra, along with key personnel from various departments, descended to the planet's surface in a fleet of shuttles. The landing site was a broad, fertile plain near a freshwater lake, surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests that stretched as far as the eye could see. As they stepped out of the shuttles and onto the soft, alien soil, there was a collective breath held across the fleet, both on the planet and in orbit. Gina knelt down, running her fingers through the soil, feeling the weight of the moment. This was more than just a new beginning. It was the culmination of everything they had fought for, everything they had sacrificed. Standing up, she looked out at the landscape, imagining the cities, farms, and communities that would soon rise from this untouched wilderness. Ezra, standing beside her, reached out and touched her hand, his expression serious yet filled with the boundless curiosity that only a child could possess. "Do you feel it, Mom?" Ezra asked, his voice filled with wonder. "This place, it's different. It's alive in a way that I can't explain." Gina nodded, sensing the same mysterious energy that seemed to pulse through the very air around them. "Yes, Ezra, I feel it too. This planet, it's special. We have to be careful, but I think it's where we're meant to be." As the pioneers began to set up the first structures, temporary shelters, communication arrays, and research stations, Gina and Ezra explored the immediate area. The planet was teeming with life, both flora and fauna, some of which was familiar in form, while others were unlike anything they had ever encountered. It was clear that this was a world with its own intricate ecosystems, and the humans would have to respect and understand it if they were to thrive here. Back on the flagship, Archon and Logos continued their analysis of the rift and the surrounding space. Their combined knowledge had been crucial in stabilizing the rift, but there was still much they did not know. The rift itself, though now stable, remained a gateway to something beyond their current understanding, a bridge to another dimension, or perhaps to another part of the universe altogether. It was both a resource and a potential threat, and they would need to be vigilant in monitoring it. One day, as Gina and Ezra were surveying a nearby valley, they came across something that made Gina's heart skip a beat. It was an ancient structure, partially buried under centuries of soil and vegetation, its surface worn smooth by time. The design was unmistakably human, though of a style that predated even the oldest records they had of Earth's history. Ezra's eyes widened as he placed his hand on the weathered stone. "This was made by our ancestors," he whispered, his voice tinged with awe. "But how did it get here?" Gina was equally stunned. The implications were staggering. If their ancestors had been here before, long before the Exodus, then the history of humanity was far more complex and mysterious than they had ever imagined. This discovery could change everything they thought they knew about their past and their place in the universe. They immediately sent word back to the fleet, and within hours, a team of archaeologists, historians, and scientists had joined them at the site. As they began to carefully excavate the structure, more clues emerged. Ancient inscriptions, remnants of tools and technology that, while archaic, bore the unmistakable marks of human craftsmanship. The excitement was palpable, but so was the sense of foreboding. What had brought their ancestors to this distant world, and why had they left? As night fell over Epsilon Prime, Gina stood by the entrance to the ancient structure, deep in thought. The stars above were unfamiliar, yet somehow comforting. She felt a connection to this place that went beyond mere coincidence. It was as if they were destined to find this world, to uncover its secrets, and to reclaim a legacy that had been lost to time. Ezra joined her, his small hand slipping into hers. "We're not alone, are we, Mom?" he asked, his voice soft but steady. Gina looked down at him, her heart swelling with love and pride. "No, Ezra, we're not. Our ancestors are with us, and so is the spirit of everyone we've lost along the way. We're part of something much bigger than ourselves." Ezra nodded, his gaze turning back to the ancient structure. "We'll find out what happened here. We'll make sure their story isn't forgotten." Gina squeezed his hand, her resolve hardening. "Yes, we will. And we'll make sure that our story, the story of humanity, continues. We've come too far to turn back now." As the dawn of a new day broke over Epsilon Prime, the fleet's journey took on new significance. They were not just survivors, they were the inheritors of a forgotten legacy, charged with the task of rebuilding not just for themselves, but for all those who had come before. The challenges ahead would be great, but they would face them together, guided by the strength of their ancestors and the hope for a brighter future. And so, with the ancient structure as a reminder of their deep and mysterious roots, the human fleet began to lay the foundations of their new home. Epsilon Prime would not just be a place of refuge. It would be the cradle of a new civilization, one that would carry the torch of humanity forward into the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders alike, but they were ready. They had to be. The future of humanity depended on it.